You're still listening to Breakfast Connect here on Africa Business Radio. And we're going to go into another set of discussions. We've already had one earlier today, talking with a health practitioner from the UK, giving us a UK perspective to what is going on with COVID-19. And she also gave us, some, of our thoughts and a professional view of what she thinks could be done to better contain the situation here in Nigeria. But in the midst of all of that, the Nigerian worker is really going through it at this time. The Nigerian worker is one of the most hit, if not the most hit, at this time, where situations are the economy is now on a partial lockdown. And to help us make sense of all that the Nigerian worker is going through at this time, we'll be talking to someone who knows the Nigerian worker very well, who is advocating for the Nigerian worker. That's none other than Comrade Quadri Olaleye, the National President of the Trade Union Congress. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. We are glad to have you on Breakfast Connect for Africa Business Radio. Thank you very much for being our guest this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So what is the TUC's position on government's response to the coronavirus vis-a-vis the Nigerian worker?
Thank you for that question. Presently, during the coronavirus, we have advised government on how to get palliative to affected people, the most vulnerable, and also Nigerian workers. Why? Because some employers have denied their workers March and April salaries, and as a result of that, they form part of the vulnerable ones. We advise the government to use the means of the labor union, the trade associations, and other groups in distributing the palliative so that we can be sure that it gets to everybody. Unfortunately, government did not yield to that. Now, after post-COVID-19, what we expected from government, and we have been advising, doing a lot of write-ups to government, even on the media, is that government have to provide palliative and stimulus to genuine business owners who are also genuine employers of labor, so that they can continue to retain the numbers of workers they have before COVID-19. You are aware that a lot of employers have started laying off their workers.
Yes, like in the banking sector, but the CBN and Bankers Committee had to intervene for banks. But who intervenes for the others?
Yeah, even the one you mentioned that CBN intervened, that was just an ordinary paperwork from interview conducted by the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. We discovered that those banks are not using to CBN advice, not even up to 30% implementation. So we still have a lot of our members in the banking sector at home, not recalled. Then for others, also, we have intervened. You had a recent report about Lagos Airport Hotel laying off, asking the workers to go on a 3 months vacation without any pay. So we have also consulted the government, especially Lagos Airport Hotel is being owned by Southwest State, which is being headed by the governor of Ondo State, Akeredolu.
Okay.
We have called on them because while they are governors, they are supposed to be looking at solutions to retaining people's jobs. So if a business owned by government are laying off workers, what do you expect from private business owners? So we have been on our toes to ensure that we get in touch with employers group, and we have been discussing. As you are aware, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria comprises of many affiliates, and we have affiliate union. Take, for example, the issue of the bank you mentioned, we have the ASBIFE, the Bankers Senior Staff Association. In the food industry, we have the Food Beverages and Tobacco Senior Staff Association. Likewise, in the air services, we have their union. So each of them have been empowered, educated on how to negotiate with their employer, and they give the end results to TUC for us to pass onward to government. So we've been with government discussing on how to ensure that we save 99.9% of the jobs that we have before COVID-19. So I can tell you so far, government have not been yielding as expected by TUC.
All right. Early in April, just to piggyback on, what, we just discussed now. Yeah, you said government has not been yielding. How do you make them yield? What are the things, that you're planning to do, if they do not yield, if they do not comply? Because, people will still not get the stimulus. Is it just enough to urge or to call on government to yield?
Yeah, because of the importance of the situation that we have on ground, and health situation which has led to social and security issues, Nigerian workers will not fold their hands. We'll continue to discuss and negotiate with government, or in a situation whereby they refuse, we have made sure that to mobilize our members to get ready for a kind of rally to force the government to yield to our expectations.
Okay. Now, so early in April, the TUC criticized the federal government for inviting Chinese doctors to help Nigeria fight the coronavirus pandemic. Does the Congress's position still, remain the same, a month after you made this call?
Yes, our position remains the same. Why? Because nobody has been able to prove the achievement of the Chinese doctors that were brought in. We only had a report yesterday that they have been moved to isolation centers, but they've not been able to evaluate their contribution so far. And you will agree with me that even before their arrival in the country, the infection level was so low, but now it's high. So the government needs to prove, the Ministry of Health, through the Minister of Health, need to prove to us and evaluate their contribution so far since they have arrived in the country.
No, but
so TUC maintained the stand that government was not supposed to invite the Chinese doctors because we can handle the situation with the professionals that we have in the country.
No, but some people will argue that China right now the numbers are reducing, schools are opening back in China. They seem to have a handle on this. Some people will argue that we can borrow from some of their expertise and then the ways that they've gone about handling this virus that actually started from Wuhan, China.
Yes, truly China is getting over it, but that does not mean that the experts brought into the country can perform to change the situation just like China, because China has its own policy and there are many other things that they are not telling us to know how they achieve it. So based on that, TUC still believe that we should have handled that issue internally by Nigerian doctors or health professionals.
Okay, so what is your reaction to the recent poverty report that was released by the National Bureau of Statistics?
Yeah, the report says that 40% of the population are below poverty level.
Yeah, right.
Why? Because they live below $1 per day, or what we can call about 137,430 naira per year. This should be a big concern, not only to labor union, but to Nigerian government. And we should be discussing how to lift majority of this 40% out of poverty. And it's not a decision that only government can take. Government has to involve other parties, which includes the labor union, the Chamber of Commerce, the SMEs, and other civil society in the country, so that we discuss and give it an holistic approach. And within the next few months, we can be measuring what we have achieved so far. And you quite agree with me that there is no other reason than because Nigeria depends on only one single source of income, which is the oil sector. And we all have seen what has happened to the oil sector. So there is need for Nigeria to diversify the economy. We have been writing a lot, even on the media, about this government diversifying the economy. There is need for government to recognize that the SMEs create more jobs than what the government can create. Government responsibility is to provide an enabling environment to make sure there are facilities in the infrastructure in place for business to strive. But unfortunately, government is not taking that step seriously for now. We also have opportunity of diversifying into agri, where we can encourage teeming population of our youth to key into whatever project that we have in agri. So these are the things that we discuss on regular basis. Even last week, I know Tuesday has released more than 3 papers on that. For government to diversify to agri, for government to recognize SMEs and encourage people to form cooperative society, where government can send all these stimulus and palliative too. We are trying to avoid a situation whereby political business owners hijack the stimulus they have for the economy, because information reaching to shows that a lot of businesses that were not operating before COVID-19 have now registered, and they are going to claim they have some numbers of employees and they need palliative from government, and these are political business owners.
About the Oresanya report, are you in discussions with the federal government, over this report, which will ultimately see some people out of work when some agencies are merged or scrapped?
Yes, we have submission on Oresanya reports also. I think deliberately Oresanya committee deliberately closed their eyes to some areas of saving the economy and reducing cost of governance. Why? Because they don't want to march on some powerful people's toes.
Such as what? Okay, all right, sir.
Yeah. Take, for example, we need to look at the government other expenditures, the payment of political class, having hundreds of personal assistants, a lot of cars, this and that. So there is need for the government to work on that first. If government can reduce the payment to each political class by 40%, let us see what we have seen from there before we start merging ministry, paramilitary, and the rest, creating more unemployment in a country that is already hit by high rate of unemployment. So we have also sent paper on that for government to look at that area. So government needs to shift their expenses before looking at creating more unemployment rate in the country. And also, government is supposed to show a good example of an employer. If government is laying off workers, what will happen to private companies? And that is why you see a lot of them threatening that they want to retrench their workers. So we encourage government to look inward and save costs before looking at merging the ministry to create more unemployment in the country. Thank you.
All right. So, does that mean that you are in partial support of the report, or you are not in the support? To what degree do you agree with the Oresanya report?
Well, we are not in support of that report. So we are just being logical. Yes, we are not in support of that report at all, because it's going to create more unemployment in the country, and that is going to lead to security issues. You know what is happening with Boko Haram and other bandits.
Yeah.
These are the result of unemployment rate in the country. So we should be looking at solutions in reducing the unemployment rate, especially to the youth population. So we should not be creating more problems.
All right. So the federal government has received another tranche of Abacha loot. About $311 million was sent to Nigeria at this critical time. How do you think this money should be, injected into the economy?
Even before this last one that federal government received, we have advised government such money should be spent in a way that, in a traceability way, in a more transparent way, that Nigerian population can have belief in the government that they are doing the right thing. Before we start receiving this money, we were in a situation. But after receiving almost high percentage of the money, we are still in the same situation. So there is need for government to face a particular problem that we have in the country, especially on infrastructure. If it is electricity that they want to solve the problem, government should concentrate the money on it so that people can ask questions and we can see that we are moving. But presently, we have not seen the impact of what has been received so far. You remember one of the money they received and they shared to state government to enable them to be able to pay minimum wage. Up to now, we are still battling with minimum wage. Majority of the governors didn't use the money to pay minimum wage. Instead, they diversified to their own area of interest. So there is need for government to be more transparent and to use this money to attack a specific problem in the country that everybody can ask questions and we can know that we have solved that problem. That's alternative one. Also, alternative two is that government can use it as part of the economic stimulus package. But they need to be specific that, okay, we are taking this money to manufacturing industry, we are taking it to banking industry so that everybody can see clearly. That's CUC advice to government.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for being a part of our, broadcast this morning, for your time, for all your contribution, and for your position on so many issues going on at this point in time. We hope that in future, when we call on you to be a part of our program, you oblige us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right.